मुंबई से एक बड़ी कारोबारी खबर सामने आई है। एंटरप्राइज एआई और इंटेलिजेंट ऑटोमेशन समाधान प्रदान करने वाली कंपनी जेनेक्सएआई एनालिटिक्स लिमिटेड का आईपीओ 5 जून 2026 को खुलने जा रहा है। कंपनी का लक्ष्य इस इशू के जरिए लगभग 54.66 करोड़ रुपए जुटाने का है। आईपीओ का प्राइस बैंड 110 से 116 रुपए प्रति शेयर तय किया गया है। कंपनी के अनुसार जुटाई गई राशि का उपयोग व्यवसाय विस्तार, कार्यशील पूंजी की जरूरतों और सामान्य कॉरपोरेट उद्देश्यों के लिए किया जाएगा। बाजार विशेषज्ञों का मानना है कि आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस और डिजिटल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन सेक्टर में बढ़ती मांग के बीच यह आईपीओ निवेशकों के लिए आकर्षण का केंद्र बन सकता है। अब निवेशकों की नजर 5 जून को खुलने वाले इस इशू पर टिकी हुई है।
Last financial year, the thought of 10 Feb March got some target, and immediately 28 Feb you heard that US-Iran war happened. Your all forecasts, all projections went wrong. What should you do now? If you have maybe 5,000 people company, you have 50 different products, 500 different brands, 50 different locations. Big complexity, all your program, because nobody thought of that 28 Feb this will happen. So suddenly you have to backtrack all your, because you have already planned your cash flow based on certain projections you have done, you have managed in December, and for Jan, Feb, March quarter you have decided that. That is where GENXAI plays a big role, because we always support management to take best decisions, and if you anchor this kind of a position, this kind of a situation, how to deal with, how to respond. That's why for us, this kind of a situation is the best situation to give the message to those companies that GENXAI is there to support your decision making without impacting your growth target. So always with the large consulting and GSI companies globally, not only in India. Reason being because even today, very less people focus on this kind of layer, which we call it as a EPO, because nobody wants to work with the less. Everybody wants to work with more, where the volume is. Volume is more where the transaction is there. We don't work on transaction. Once the transaction is there, you have terabyte data, petabyte level of data. Now you have available. But how to process that data? What will you do with that data? Very less players are focusing because the margins are good, but the volume is there. And in that segment, if you see, compare us with the large consulting firm, in the RSI, regional system integrator point of view, we are the leader in that particular domain. So there will be competition in coming days, but as I said, we are always ahead in the curve. When people were talking more about ERP and analytics, we talked about ERP. So that's why we could get the much more advantage and that this particular domain in last almost a decade now. Okay. Similarly, when people were not even talking about AI as a service model for the EPM, people always talk about transaction. You can use the content management, but there are almost 1,000 AI applications at this moment. One application can solve one problem. But with the kind of EPM layer we talk about, we always work in the enterprise mindset. That 50 different CXOs, okay, because their budgets are limited, but they also have an aspiration to grow. Like we have an aspiration to grow. That's why we got into this public domain, so that people understand that the small companies can also grow big if they adopt the right set of technology at the right time. Yeah. So revenue model, we have, see, as I said, we work in a kind of a software as a service kind of model. So there are three kind of service offerings of revenue we collected. One is the OEM solution which we deliver, large companies which goes with the name user license kind of a model, where we get the license revenue. Second is, along with license, we also have to implement the solution. If we just land with financial consolidation or financial planning kind of a solution in any organization, there is a one-time kind of a service fee we charge just to deploy the solution. It can go from a ticket size of 50 lakh to 5 crore. It all depends on the complexity, size of the customer and all those things. And then as soon as the deployment is done between 3 to 6 months of the timeline, we get into the support mode. So there are three kind of a service stream or revenue stream we manage with the customer. From a what you can say challenge perspective, what other top companies like named it Salesforce, Dell and all, so they deal into different kind of offerings. So when I said that EPM is very niche and very wide space market at this moment. because people are still using a lot of Excel spreadsheet or lot of analytical tools just to take care of where they are and how they are analyzing their performance either on the finance side or the cost side or on the production capacity point of view. All those different KPIs they just track based on certain tools which are available. We work on top of those tools because we just map their strategy and vision to the execution.